Thanks, Ian, and I'm very pleased to be here. It's been a difficult scheduling, but it's worked out, I think, and I'm excited to be here to give you a bit of an overview of where RxND, your trade association, is, or most of you are members of that. So I'd like to just maybe do a bit of a background. So in case some people don't know RxND, we're about 50 members. And when I say about 50 members, it's hard to actually count because we're always buying each other. It seems, and so that is changing fairly rapidly. The other exciting thing is we have some very new members joining. Mike Tremblay represents one of 5 Japanese companies now, and so that is a growing factor in Canada. And we have some very exciting partnerships with Biotech Canada, LSO Life Science Ontario, Bio-Quebec, in which we are partnering with some of the smaller companies. So who are we? We represent about 46,000 jobs, direct and indirect. We contribute well over $1 billion into Canada R&D, representing $3 billion in GDP. And we are part of a very vibrant and national life science community. We've just gone through a planning process for the next 3 years, and we're dedicated as a board of directors towards Canadians living healthy and longer lives through access to innovative medicines. And we see ourselves as a national voice of the industry to advocate for policies that enable discovery, development, commercialization of innovative medicines. And we support our members through their commitment as valued partners in our healthcare system. In my brief talk today, you'll hear that a lot, is that we're looking at building partnerships. We do not believe that the industry can function out by itself in the current environment. And our 3 priorities are first and foremost to become, and you'll see your trade association become this, an authentic, solution-driven partner through effective alliances, policy, and leadership. And that's what means that we are going to try to make sure that we can pull together the right information, that we're the go-to source when people are talking about innovative medicines and vaccines. And that will show leadership in the debates of public policy. And that we will build effective alliances with governments, with stakeholders, with key life science centers, with healthcare centers, with universities, and with patient groups. But we'll also work on 2 major important files, and I'll share a few notes about that today. One is improving access and regulatory environment. Canadians don't know what they don't know. In fact, we have very limited access to innovative medicines. And when you compare to OECD countries, we always rank in the bottom third when it comes to access. So we have to work hard at making sure that we tell our value story. And in a current cost containment environment, that's going to be difficult. But we have to tell that story better. And we also have to advocate for an environment which our companies, their head offices, will decide that Canada is the place to invest in. Right now, our investments are going down because Canada isn't competitive. And hopefully it will become more competitive. We have a lot of good things going for us. Great science, great infrastructures, great and a database, and we're going to be talking about a lot of data in the next little bit, that is really very, very positive for doing research. But we have to improve the environment so that the VP of Research and Development will choose Canada in the next decision for investments. So those you'll see as our 3 priorities that we'll be working for and on for the next 3 years. Now, a little bit of the Canadian environment. We're currently having a debate and finalizing discussions about CETA, the Comprehensive Economic Trade Agreement with Europe. Most people think it's been signed. It's been announced by the government 2 times, but it's actually not ratified yet. And unfortunately, it's going to take a couple years probably by the time it gets ratified. So the stability that our industry is looking for has been announced, that the intention is there to do it, but it's still not there yet. About $750 million of the $1.2 billion we spend on research is on clinical trials, and that's wonderful investment in Canada, right into patients, doctors' offices, universities. But we have to remain competitive on that to continue to attract more clinical trials. Safety and appropriate use is a major issue. We also have a government agency by the rules that counts incorrectly our investment. So we're setting policy based on PMPRB reports that are in fact leaving out $1 out of 2 are investments. So we're trying to correct that. Work with the whole HTA community because that's a guiding, sort of a guiding force right now. And of course, it looks like there's an election this year, and who knows what happens during election year, and an ex-politician is telling you that. So provincial, we are really trying to shift the debate away from cost, which it seems to be right now, into value. And I think that's the main thing that you're going to see the change of the industry is we have to tell our story differently. We have to tell our narrative differently. We have to prove our value. It's kind of like if there's furnace salesmen that are knocking at your door and they've got a brand new furnace and it's smaller and you have a small apartment. It's more efficient. You like to save energy. You have an asthmatic child that has the best filters around. It's going to be better all the way around, and you know it. But you just can't afford it this year. That's what's happening in our discussions with payers. So we have to be more attentive to that and try to understand and work with that with payers in terms of their value. One of the ways we're going to do it, other than just talking about it, we want to show it. Medicine in innovative medicines will save money elsewhere, or at least spend public dollars better. And you're going to see us working extremely hard on that. The other sector is that we're spending more time is on private drug plans. That's not something the association has paid a lot of attention to previously. So we are spending more time with private insurers and private drug plans to understand their perspective, to come up with collaborative models that we can make sure that we offer patients real choice. This is a new avenue for RxND. There is a changing business model. We're actually pretty excited about it. The research is now conducted all across Canada. We don't do research just in one box, and I actually think that's better for Canada. There'll still be lots of resources for University Avenue in Toronto and West Island in Montreal and Sherbrooke and out in Alberta and BC, but actually I believe as we go where the best science is to invest, that will be a better Canadian story, and it will be a greater opportunity that all of Canadians' workforce, which incidentally is one of the best educated workforces in the world, will be able to participate in our industry. Our jobs, even though are fewer than they used to be, are high quality, high paying jobs, and with a salary range of, on the average, if you take all employees, of well over $100,000 a year. You take the CEO's salaries out of that, Mike, the average drops way down, but sorry, I couldn't resist that. I couldn't resist that, sorry. So there is a changing workplace environment. But in my short remarks today, I wanted to conclude, because we get into numbers really quick when we talk about the business issues, but this is about healthcare. And value of our medicines do prolong life. They help our healthcare system. They avoid hospitalization. And I think we have to spend more time talking about that, is when you see these numbers of the reductions and of hospitalizations is quite phenomenal. The last part is very quickly is we're not the cost drivers in healthcare system. If you look at these slides, and you can all have these slides, we are in fact one of the lowest cost drivers around. And then the final point is something we work on very hard. If we are going to embrace these partnerships, if we are going to work hand in hand more closely with the public healthcare system than we ever have by building these kinds of value demonstrating procedures and initiatives, we have to make sure that our ethical platform is entirely and completely defendable. So we are going to continue, and we're proud about this, we're going to continue to work on developing our ethical platform to make sure that we are leaders when it comes to ethical practices in Canada and around the world. And that slide didn't work out very well. But basically, it talks about how we are embracing the movement forward. And I'll be open to questions later on because I see my time is gone. But the main message is you'll see industry actively embracing everybody to work and prove the value of medicines the next year. And I actually think the future looks very positive. Thank you very much.